push-ups. I've been doing sit-ups. I've been doing chin-ups. I've been doing pull-ups. I threw up once, but I'm okay now.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Friday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. My name is DJ Yoakley. Thanks for joining us here on this soggy start to your Saturday, or I guess your weekend. Not quite Saturday yet. Don't want to get ahead of myself. We got a Friday to deal with first. A great Friday on many levels because, as you know, for the majority of you, not us here at YSN, it's the end of your work week. We're just getting started. But for most of you, not a whole lot to do tonight because Mother Nature has had a change of plans. No sunny skies and beautiful temperatures like there was yesterday. Oh, no, good friends. Oh, no. According to Storm Tracker 21, we had coming into today a 100% chance of precipitation. And, well, that's their noses are perfect. They don't extend because they don't lie. It is raining cats and dogs here at the Athletic Studios in East Palestine, Ohio. I hope it's better where you are. But for us, it is, I mean, it's ugly. It's ugly. So many games have been canceled. We're going to get you up to speed on the games that are canceled, that remain, all of that stuff here in the coming few minutes. But I want to let you know that this coming Sunday, we will have the debut of a brand new show right here on YSN, hosted by Steve Leslie, our general manager, our fearless general manager, Sam Torres, you know, from 440 Sports Show, Anthony Hartwig, of course, you know, from Running Point and from literally everything here on YSN. And they will be doing a show dedicated to baseball and softball. They're calling it the Diamond Roundup here on YSN. So if you're so, I guess, inclined, make sure you're tuning into that show. It should be a very cool event, very opportunistic for Diamond Sports especially. Sam is overly excited about this, as is Anthony, as is Steve, as am I, because it's a long time coming. To me, baseball and softball get a bad shake for the most part with coverage, and we're going to try to change that up. Hopefully there's some highlights, some interviews with announcers, with interviews with our players, student athletes, as well as interviews with coaches. I think that'd be very beneficial. And of course, talking about the best players that are right here in the Valley as we put together our first rendition of the YSN baseball, softball power rankings. I know everybody's waiting for that. That will debut hopefully Sunday on the show. I'd love to have that be a debut moment for the power rankings. We're working on getting those all finalized for you, and teams jockeying for positions to even get this thing started. I mean, you look at some of the blue bloods, so to speak, the Canfields, the South Ranges, on both sports. Lakeview shaking up South Ranges tree last night. The Raiders just couldn't get anything going, and without putting the finger at South Range, you got to give credit where credit is due. Lakeview kept the Raiders on the ropes the entire night. And with, the great coaching that they have in Lakeview, the opportunistic type players. And I mean, listen, when you play South Range, you know that, I mean, the Raiders know they're going to get your best punch. They know they are going to receive the biggest haymaker that you have, because they've got that target planted on both sides, the front and the back. Because listen, when you win a state championship, you are going to be somebody's big shot and signature win during the season. The Raiders have had to fight that for going on, 4 years now, 5 years now. So that being said, a Lakeview win yesterday. And I don't even want to say it was dramatic. When I walked over after the girls' game, they were up by 1. I think that's where you finished. Yeah, 5-4 was your final. Lakeview gets the dub. Raiders able to apply pressure a few times during the latter stages of that game, but weren't able to push anything across. So congratulations to Lakeview. Let's go down our scoreboard while we have a second here, see what we have. Crestview all over Camel Memorial last night, 16-0. Hubbard falls to Poland 3-2. This is the baseball side of it, of course. Leetonia falls to Lowellville 28-6. That's a final from Lowellville. Mooney all over Salem 10-0. Brookfield, we did not get that score. We had a 9-0 final. Mogador over Jackson Milton. We also had Heartland Christian, the Battle of the Frankens, the Franken Bowl, if you will. It's the elder statesman, Mark Franken, getting the win over his son, 10-6. Heartland over Columbiana. We mentioned Lakeview over South Range, 5-4. That'll shake up the NE8 pretty well. NDCL loses to Austin South Fitch, who continues to be on a roll. The Falcons are flying this season, looking really good with all that that veteran presence they have that they earned last year. Highland, we don't have the game. LeBray gets a much needed victory, 8-0 over Garrettsville. Garfield, Warren JFK in extra innings gets the victory, 9-3 over Struthers. That one was a dandy. Let's move over to the softball finals from last night. Fitch 5-0 over Aurora. We also had Edison 10-0 over United. Filling in Canfield 8-0 over West Branch. Poland debuts their brand spanking new softball field. Anthony Hartwig was there. We're going to hear from a couple of the Bulldogs here shortly. 8-2 over Hubbard. South Range. And this is the tricky one. This is the game I did. In 5 innings, South Range wins. I had it marked as 10-0 because once that last run crosses, finito, game is over. But they listed it as 11-0. So I have to get with someone, maybe somebody out there knows a little better than I. I always thought that the second run doesn't count. Once it's 10-0, it's done, it's over. I can kind of understand it because the play wasn't over. It was an error. The ball went to into basically right field. 2 runs come around to score, but I thought once the first one crosses, it's over. But I guess you have to let the play happen. I don't know. It's either I had it's 10-0. South Range posts an 11-0 victory over Lakeview in 5 innings. We'll talk to some of the heroes of that game here in a moment. Boardman with a 6-1 victory over NDCL. We have Howland with a 5-2 victory over Crestwood. And that is your scoreboard. And your score is brought to you by our friends over at Baird Brothers. Thanks again for Baird Brothers, the first ever corporate sponsor of YSN. Grateful for them each and every day. And also the proud sponsors of the Baird Brothers Big Dogs of the Valley, which will debut this weekend. Along with everything else, you'll be able to vote from Sunday to Friday. Is that how it goes? No, it'll debut on Monday. What am I thinking? It'll debut on Monday, and you'll be able to vote through Sunday night. And then we'll have, a new set next weekend. Sorry, trying to get my thoughts together. There's a lot of stuff going on. Youngstown State University still scheduled to be in action tonight. I will have the game call for you. And you're wondering why you have to put up with this voice for 2.5, 3 hours. Well, yesterday was a very, very emotional day as our good friend, we already kind of previewed it, Richie Giuliano, heads down to Tennessee. He's heading down as we speak right now. Again, a guy that has become synonymous with YSN, with YSU and has become a very good friend and basically family. Not basically, he's family here at YSN. Guy that will always have a position and always have a headset whenever he calls for it. We wish him the best. We wish him the best. Had a chance to break bread with him yesterday for lunch. And he's excited, as he should be. He's very excited, a little nervous, which is okay because it's the first time he's ever really been away from home. But we wish him all the best. And you know, a guy that will never, ever, ever be forgotten because he is embedded in the DNA of YSN, Richie Giuliano. So I want to thank him again for everything that he's done. Wish him all the best as he continues to fulfill some of his lifelong dreams of being a baseball announcer at the highest level. So he goes to the AA Tennessee Smokies and well on his way to sometime being, I think, going to be the voice of Major League Baseball at some point for some team. And hopefully that time is very soon. All right. I mentioned we have got some interviews to get to, some talking points to manage. We swept through the NE8 yesterday. We have conversations. Anthony was so kind to get a couple interviews with Poland as they opened up their brand new ball field. And I had a chance to talk to the heroes from the South Range game yesterday, as well as head coach and manager, Mr., as I call him, Spanky DeRose. So we'll hear from Coach DeRose first, and then we'll make our way over to Poland, both winners last night, to continue their role in the early goings of the 2023 season. Spanky, what do you got to say? DeRose, 3-0 on the season, undefeated in the NE8 as well as overall. What does it say? I mean, this is good competition you're playing, and really, you know, the young ones are leading by example here to start the season.
Yeah, 3-0. We saw really good pitching against Jefferson. Today's pitching wasn't as good with Lakeview, but, you know, finally we came out and hit the ball today. But the two young ladies that led the game today, both freshmen, Anna A. got her first start, got the bat, have a couple hits. Kira Brogan, freshman moving in from Cannonsburg, and it was a gem that just came and fell into our lap. It was pretty awesome.
So when you talk about that young kind of passing the torch, you've got some great seniors, some great upperclassmen that they'll be able to lean on later this season, but it's nice to see the young ones stepping up without that tape on them yet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously our seniors lead by example. They're just, I can't say enough about all our seniors, and, you know, with Sam pitching a great game again today. She's 2-0. I don't think she gave up very many hits in the two games. In fact, I think she threw a one-hitter, and I don't know how many hits she gave up today, but it wasn't that many. So,
are you looking forward to a little bit warmer temperatures?
A little bit warmer temperatures. I know that in a week from today, I'll be on the road heading down south, so I can't wait.
Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, so from that perspective, that's Jeff DeRose, and again, thanks to Spanky for the interview. We talk about this South Range team, 3-0 now, right? 3-0, and they are going to play some really good teams down in Myrtle Beach. They got to get there first. A week from now, we'll be down there. They won't start games until Monday. The way I understand it, they've got one on Monday, two on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, one on Friday, playing 6 games in total. So when you look at South Range, you look at a perennial powerhouse in this particular sport, in softball, a team that's been to the dance, a team that's been to the state championship, came up short, but the expectations, and we talk about this constantly about contenders versus perennial powers, South Range in softball has become a perennial power. And here's why I'm going to explain to you why is they continue to load their system from the foundation. And looking at this freshman class that they're bringing in, you've got 2 young ladies that are capturing the headlines on a senior-laden team and an upperclassman powered team. That's impressive. Sam Suzanne is going to garner the headlines. She is going to command the respect that she deserves. That is without a doubt. Sam Suzanne, and I'm going to tell you this right now, she is going to be in the conversation for Player of the Year. She's going to be in the conversation for MVP. She's going to be in every conversation of every kind because of what she brings to the table, both on offense and on defense, and by defense, I mean both in the field and in the circle. That being said, and I don't want to overlook Sam, but that being said, you look at what South Range is bringing. Kira Brogan is absolutely red hot right now. She is a freshman. She and Coach DeRose alluded to her, just kind of fell into their lap. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And South Range has the very, very good fortune in softball to have both and to be both. Because when you have a leadoff hitter like Kira Brogan, who's also your shortstop at a freshman level, and she's able to maintain that high varsity experience, that she might as well be a senior from a playing perspective. She is hitting the strings off of the ball. I mean, I'm looking at stats right now. Maybe if I can see them. So Brogan, she is hitting 700. That's your leadoff hitter, your table setter, hitting 700. Yesterday goes 3 for 4 in the ball game. She's already got a home run under her belt, hit it in her first varsity game. The upside for South Range is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And I'm not sitting here thumping my chest saying, come get South Range. And I mean, listen, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I think everybody knows how I feel about South Range, but to watch them play softball. Now, when Coach DeRose talked about this being the best team perhaps that he had ever coached, I'm not going to lie to you. I rolled my eyes. I went, oh boy, here's that marketing pitch. Here's Spanky's he does this every year. However, I don't know where he's wrong. He might be telling the truth on this one. He might be spot on, because 1 through 9, South Range is going to be a force in this league, in this conference, in this division after it's all said and done. Here's the guru of softball. They've had at least one college pitcher in the circle every season since 2010. I mean, that stat, you're not going to find that stat with the Blue Coats. That is a legit stat by the godfather of softball himself, Mr. Anthony Hartwig. That's a good stat. But here's a better one, is how South Range continues to come back hungrier and hungrier every year. Maybe it's because they've never got the big one, right? They've been there, they've been at the dance, but they weren't able to come home with the big trophy. Maybe that's why they're so hungry. Maybe that's why, but a lot of it to me goes not necessarily, and I love the coaches to death. I do. I love all 3 of them. All 4 of them, if you include the Paw King. But I adore this team because of the tenacity, because they can win ugly games like they did on opening day. But they can also, when the weather warms up just a little bit, put on a hitting clinic like they did yesterday. And Bacon is an excellent pitcher. Chadwick is an excellent pitcher. Lakeview is a team that is to be contended with. And South Range just absolutely put it to him yesterday. Now, that might be different down the line, and maybe you can catch South Range on an off day. But if they are on, and Suzanne or Stackowitz is on, turn out the lights, the party's over. Ball game. I'm telling you. They are going to be very, 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 very difficult to defeat. Just how it's going to be. So you have to jump on them early, and you have to jump on them often. And I think Myrtle, we're going to see some good competition. So make sure you tune in to those games down in Myrtle Beach starting this Monday. No, reverse that. Starting next Monday on YSN. All right. We talked about those freshman standouts for South Range. Let's hear from them. The first of 2 is Kira Brogan, who, again, has been so successful, so exciting to watch, both in the field and at the dish. Let's hear from Kira.
Kira Brogan, you have been red hot this season, leading off the Raiders, but talk to me about how it's been making that transition, never playing high school softball before, being a freshman, stepping into that role, and really leading this team at the dish.
I have to give it to my past coaches for helping me be confident and be positive, and being around the older girls really helps me keep that up.
It's got to be challenging to be young, playing in Northeast Ohio and frigid cold, a little bit warmer today.
Yeah.
But this stick's been going from the jump. What do you attribute that success to?
I just try to keep my hands back and hips through and make it all connected and just think little poke every time.
And not only offensively, but defensively, you're the shortstop. I mean, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that position. What does it mean, and what does it mean to have great players around you, a lot of expectations for this team, but you're coming through and cashing in seemingly every time you're in the field or at the plate?
Yeah, so it's really great to have good players around me that can help me learn and help me get better, and it's just easy to communicate with them because of how amazing they are.
What has been your biggest challenge to this point of the season?
I'd say just trying to keep myself loose and not stressed.
Kira Brogan, your player of the game, brought to you by Athletics. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So you could tell she was a little nervous. I think by the end of the season, after the 35, 40 interviews that she'll do for YSN, she'll be a little less nervous. I mean, it says something when they're more nervous to do interviews than they are to play in front of their peers in varsity athletics, doesn't it? I mean, she just feels so at home at the dish, left-hander, bats left, throws right. I mean, she's outstanding. But the coming out party last night, the debut to me might not have been her season debut, but a young lady named Anna A, who I love her family. I've been a huge fan of her family for so long. Her brother playing baseball right next door, the junkyard dog, Joey A, and her awesome family. So supportive of what we do at YSN. It was awesome to see her making her mark yesterday, and in such a big way. 2 for 3 in RBI, 2 runs scored, I believe, as well. And she was able to do, step up and really put in some big swings. And word on the street, she's got a cannon for an arm as well. So can't wait to see that. And I'm sure Sam Suzanne's going to try to make it as elite and few and far between for Anna A as possible. But when you have to rely on a freshman to get you there, it's not going to get any better than AA Anna A. Here she is.
And a player of the game brought to you by Athletics. I mean, you were seeing the ball. It had to look like a beach ball there tonight. What was going right for you?
I think my extension was working really well for me, and I try not to muscle it because when I do, I usually end up just completely whiffing.
It just looked like you were comfortable in the box. I mean, as a freshman, is that hard to come by? Is that just rep after rep?
I would say, yeah, it's kind of hard to get comfortable, especially being a freshman on varsity, but this team makes it really, really easy for us to get comfortable around them. They're really good people.
Talk about these seniors, how they've helped you kind of lead the way.
Yes. They are so influential for me. They're really, really good players, but they're also really kind off the field, which really helps me be comfortable around them.
It's also nice to have your brother playing over there, the junkyard dog. I mean, does he give you any insight or kind of ideas of like what it's like to play varsity and what it means to wear the Raider uniform?
Well, he mostly just tells me don't suck. So that's all I get from him usually.
Anna A, your player of the game, brought to you by Athletics. Congratulations.
Thank you.
He mostly tells me don't suck. If that's not a big brother quote, I don't know what is. I mean, I was a senior when my sister was a freshman. I mean, we still have the article. We were playing Southern Local. I don't remember which way it went, but I'm guessing it went, I hit a home run on one field. She hit a home run seconds later. We were up at the same time. And I believe my parents were both at her game, and or one of those split kind of jobs where they're watching one side and then watching the other. And the Morning Journal wrote a piece about it 20 years ago. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. When you've got one sibling playing on one field and literally hundreds of feet later, you've got another sibling playing on another. And, having the godfather, Mike A, going back and forth between the games, he got his steps in last night for his Apple Watch, I'm sure. So it's such a proud moment, such a tough moment, to be splitting your time. But how excited the A's had to be last night. And I know Mike came over and whispered a couple words of encouragement to Anna after the game, which is the way to do it, by the way, after the game. It was cool to see. It's some of those moments that as a broadcaster, as a media personality, I get to see that nobody else does. Is very humbling, because you sit there and you look at that and you go, man, I can't wait for that for me. I can't wait for my moment to share that with my own kids. So I know Mike was very, very proud last night, as was Mama A, and everybody in that A family. And I'm sure that that was a special day for South Range and for the A's, and certainly for everybody involved. So congratulations, South Range, on a big victory last night. They stay undefeated on the year. And we move over to Poland, where they debuted a brand new field, sparkling new softball field. I know Anthony was there, and he had a couple of great interviews with Katie McDonald and the head ball coach. Here we go.
With Coach Surge after Poland's win over Hubbard here at home. First question, first game here at the new softball field. What's it feel like to have the school invest in the program and to be able to open this new field for you guys?
It's been a nice happy journey that, when I found out that the board put the financing in place and they put the wheels in motion and they made the decision to invest in this after being up on campus, and then when they redid the football stadium, we lost the field in 2008. Playing at North was wonderful. I liked playing at North. It was a great complex, but it wasn't quite a high school field. And now we actually have, a high school field. We're on campus, and I can't thank the board and the superintendent enough for making this a reality.
Once that investment was made, you put in a lot of work to get this field done. I know you did. Yeah. What did it feel like to get that ribbon cut and to kind of take that moment in?
Well, I just think of all the kids that have come through the program, and I know they wish us well, and we were all hoping that this day would come, and it's here, and now it's here to stay. So it's really nice.
Let's talk about this game. Hubbard, 2 games, was really grinding out on offense, kept kind of chipping away. What do you see from Katie McDonald Tuesday and tonight? They kind of navigate this lineup to never stop fighting.
Katie's Katie. She's going to give you that every time she steps on the mound. If she steps in that circle, she's gonna go give you her best. That's typical Katie, and she's just consistent. She doesn't let things rattle her, and she just goes after them, and she did a great job again.
Hits her first home run here at this field, and it'll always be the first home run hit here. Any surprise there?
No, I mean Katie can hit the ball out anytime she's in the batter's box, but that's really something special when you open up a new field, you get first inning, and we got a little bit of power in the middle of the lineup, and then for her to come up and hit one like that was pretty neat. That only comes along once. First home run on a new field and first at bat. They'll remember that the rest of their lives.
This offense is getting contributions from everybody so far. What's that mean going forward to try to go 1 through 9 and be able to hit?
Well, that's where you want to be. You don't want to count on just the top or the middle or the bottom. When you get a combination of the top, the middle, and the bottom, actually everybody contributing, it makes things really easy.
All right, Coach, congratulations on the win. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
So there you go. Thanks to Anthony Hartwig for that. Well, Coach Sirich, I mean, he's been a huge supporter of what we do at YSN, and I know that he is a legend when it comes to softball in this area. A lot of people look to him, for answers, from him, and how to do things the right way and how to do things the winning way. When you talk about South Range, you talk about Poland. I mean, 2 peas in a pod. That NE8 as a whole has been a power conference in softball. They really have been. I mean, you look at, yesteryear in such a young conference. It's weird to say that, but, Hubbard, Lakeview, Jefferson. I mean, you across the board, South Range and Poland. I mean, the Aaron Gabriels of the world. I think we figured out quickly that they don't grow on trees around here. She is the outlier. And you look at what South Range has been able to do. The comment by Anthony, I'll put it up again. South Range has had at least one college pitcher in the circle every season since 2010. Those are perennial programs, powerhouse programs. And for to listen to that soundbite and to understand what it's taken to get a solid field back in Poland, it's got to be emotional. That had to be an emotional moment, cutting the ribbon on that field yesterday and having Anthony there, who, again, the dean of girls and women's sports here in our area. And we're so grateful he's on our side to be at that game and to kind of christen it. That's a great moment. And speaking of christening the softball field, you heard it. Katie McDonald goes yah yesterday, the first ever home run at the field. And Anthony had a chance to speak with Katie as well.
We're here with Katie McDonald after Poland's first win ever at this brand new softball field. Katie, first things first, how does it feel to be out here and have a new field on campus, know the whole school system cares about this team enough to build this field for you?
It's just amazing. I mean, I honestly never thought it was going to happen, but it happened this year, and it just feels great to be playing on such a nice field, and I'm thankful to everyone who built it for us and worked hard to get us where we are today.
Not only do you get the first win on the field, you also get the first home run on the field. What did that feel like to kind of get the first home run of the season and get that off your shoulders?
I mean, it felt great. Off the bat, I knew it was a good hit, so it feels amazing to know that I was one of the first here, so.
Both these games against Hubbard were a grind for you in the circle. The offense kept kind of trying to chip away at you. What was it like navigating this lineup against Hubbard?
For me, it was just throwing strikes, getting the ball in there, and I knew I had my defense to back me up out there. My team, I trust them completely. I knew that they had everything behind me. If a girl hit the ball, I knew my defense was there.
Combined 26 strikeouts in 2 games. Katie, congratulations on player of the game, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks to Katie McDonald. Thanks to Anthony Hartwig for the interviews and the time and resources that they put into that. Katie, congratulations. Continued congratulations. That young lady just continues to just break through the glass ceiling. That expectations for softball around here. I mean, just again, very, very cool to see the product of basketball that we saw this past winter. It just continues to excel here in Northeast Ohio. And I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find, I have to believe, and I don't know this for a fact, but in my heart of hearts, you'd be hard pressed to find better softball teams than in Northeast Ohio, than in the YSN family. And I'm saying that not because that we're obligated to promote them. I'm saying because if it weren't for these teams having to defeat each other to get to district, regionals, and state, I have to believe that we would probably go across the board. We'd probably, in my opinion, we'd probably sweep across a lot of the divisions in diamond sports. This area is that good. And you can look to places like Bob Scene Park. You can look to some of the coaches around here that have continued to level up their kids time after time. You look at athletics now, that's only going to make our kids better. And, Katie McDonald is a trailblazer. She is an absolute gem of not only a softball player, a student athlete, but a human being. And I think we're going to get a lot more of that carbon copy, if you will, type of softball player, student athlete, because of places like athletics. Because if these kids can train in a setting 24/7, 365, instead of just whenever it's nice outside, like us old people, the talent's going to go up. The watermark is only going to get higher and higher and higher. So excited to see that. Congratulations to Poland and South Range. Thanks for taking time for us yesterday with those post-game interviews. And yeah, that's going to put a wrap on this side of the Power Hour. We're going to take a break. We come back. One thing I wanted to talk about, there was an article that I wrote about the East Palestine track in the track meets that are coming to East Palestine next week. And the one thing that I wanted to go over was how positive things have turned for East Palestine after a meeting. I had a chance to talk to Chris Knifer, the superintendent of East Palestine Schools. We will hear from him when we come back on the YSN Power Hour, proudly powered by our friends at Toyota of Warren.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
It means the world to me to know that what we're doing is impacting people. And whether it's simply, I got to watch my son or daughter when I was out of town, or we just love watching YSN. We love what you do for our son or daughter. So whenever someone says thank you or someone is appreciative of what we're doing, it tells me everyone at YSN is doing what we initially set out to do, which is shine a light on these athletes and help them kind of promote themselves. My name is Anthony Hartwig, and my sports network is your sports network.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the YSN Power Hour, powered by our friends at Toyota of Warren. DJ Yoakley with you. Appreciate you hanging out with us on this soggy Friday afternoon. Let's get to, before we get to anything else, and talk about East Palestine and the track meets that we're trying to, superintendent, athletic director, are trying to make sure that have solid footing for next week. Let's get to the games that are and aren't here this evening on your sports network. All right, let's start with the games that are not. So how do I zoom in on this thing? Zoom in. Let's go. Okay, there we go. That's better. This old guy can't see so well anymore. All right, Boardman at South Range canceled for tonight in baseball. Canfield Lakeview canceled. Cheney and Latonia canceled. East Palestine, Jackson Milton is canceled. Mineral Ridge, Niles canceled. Pie, Matooning Valley, and Struthers on scene 1. That is canceled. Sebring and Youngstown East is canceled for baseball. Warren JFK, Heartland Christian at scene is canceled tonight as well. And just an FYI, we got it from the general manager of YSN that anything at Scene Park is canceled today and on Saturday. So just an FYI for anybody watching. Softball tonight, Ty Bartell. We are still greenlit for that one. Menor versus Austintown Fitch. We are a go for that. I think that's actually Columbiana at Fitch, but I'll double check that. Softball as well. We have cancellations for the entire Strikeout Cancer Memorial. So that includes Revere versus Canfield, Revere versus Ursuline, Bloomfield versus Pymatuning Valley is canceled as well. Champion at against Field is canceled. We also have who else? Cheney and Latonia. Columbiana and South Range is canceled tonight. Howland and Ursuline at the Strikeout Cancer Memorial is canceled. Jefferson and Revere, that is canceled. Laurel and Lakeside is canceled. Lowellville and Struthers is canceled. McDonald, Crestview canceled. Mineral Ridge and Niles also canceled Salem and Struthers is canceled. Sebring and East, that's at Pemberton. That is canceled. West Branch versus Lakeview is canceled. And it looks like final one is Western Reserve at LeBray. That is also canceled. And tennis between Lakeview and Struthers, that is also canceled. The only other thing that we have going on tonight is YSU baseball at the moment, where they are going to take on Indiana, Purdue, Fort Wayne. So it's few and far between. Oh, okay. So Columbiana was baseball. I apologize. Beaver Local and Edison still on as well. So Beaver Local at Edison, that is on. Chris Sigler will have the call for you from Richmond Edison. Then you also have Columbiana at Austintown Fitch. Joe Eusebio is going to have the call for you for us. Ty Bartell is going to be over on the other side doing Menor versus Austintown Fitch, and I will have the YSU baseball game for you. The first pitch for that is at 6 p.m. Everything else, at least that looks like, is going to be 5 p.m. here on your sports network. That's an easy catch-up for you. If you want the games that are still available, all you have to do is go over to ysnlive.com, and you click on the Live tab, and it will give you the games that are available this evening right here on your sports network. All right, so before the break, I wanted to discuss, so one of the few things that people realize is the effect of sports that this train derailment in East Palestine has had. Now, I've been an advocate for many different sides of this in trying to, I don't want to say concoct, but to kind of make sure everybody's not level-headed, but informed and educated, and be an advocate for, the betterment of everybody out of this for the most part, right? So what I was able to learn last week, and I was really, 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 really proud of the way this kind of came together. You could tell that there's some really smart people in the room over in East Palestine from a standpoint of the superintendent, the athletic director, school board, administration, the teachers, the staff, all those people coming together, because now it feels like they're getting back to normal, and they're playing offense, right? Instead of playing defense and a lot of the unknowns, they're playing offense and trying to get people to believe in the science, people to believe in the testing that is being done. And understandably so, there's a lot of people that are nervous. They didn't have to deal with this for the last 8 weeks like the people of East Palestine, and the generosity has been overwhelming. But there's still a little bit of confusion as to the safety of your kids, yourselves, the players, the student athletes, the coaches, and the community. So what I'm here to tell you is the science is out there. And that's really the only thing that the people, the leaders, have had to go by is and are the scientific facts and what's coming back to us in the testing, both from the soil testing, the water testing, the air testing, all of that. And there hasn't been, to my knowledge, I'm going to preface that, to my knowledge, there hasn't been any blinding results that indicate that things are not safe. And I'm talking about the science. I'm not talking about the social media scientists out there. I'm talking about the science, the paid professionals that have been doing science for years and years and years and have studies. And, this leads to this. X leads to Y leads to Z. Not, fear and trying to change the narrative and get a handout and things of that nature. That has its own thing. That has its own corner, its own compartment. What I'm talking about are the people that are trying to bring people together for the right reasons. So there are 2 track events in East Palestine that typically are just, number one, revenue generators. Number 2, great competition drivers. And when the derailment happened, they went from 30 teams to 3 and 4, as I understand it, or 4 and 5, one of the two. So you take that, and there's a level of fear. Now, what I'm proud to tell you, as I'll tell you on the other side of this soundbite from the superintendent, Chris Neifer of East Palestine Schools, is people have worked together, leaders have stood up, and they brought a group of athletic directors, a group of superintendents in, and had the Ohio EPA, the federal EPA, and just people of influence and importance during this entire process. And they've had them be educated directly by the experts, by the science, the ones developing the science, the ones testing, and the ones that are having to be held accountable and responsible for all of this. Why I'm telling you this is because things are on the right track. And here's Chris Neiffer to tell you why it was so important to have this meeting last week. All right, Chris, a great gathering today of athletic directors, superintendents, and experts based on the train derailment. Why was this so important to the school district and the people in the communities?
Well, you know, we have such a great history here in East Palestine, and we can't allow this accident, which we can't deny it happened, but we can't allow this accident to take that history away. You know, our kids work hard. They deserve the ability to participate in all of their extracurricular activities. And let's face it, athletics is a big part of what we do in school districts. And we want to make sure that we provide our kids that experience.
Now, there was naturally some really good questions today, and some questions you've answered probably a million times. One of them being, why don't our kids, the kids of East Palestine, just go somewhere and play all away games for this year? What was your answer to that question?
Well, you know, it's twofold. You know, first is that perception piece. You know, I've got 1,000 families here that are sending their kids to school. And the perception, if we move one thing, is then we've lied to you and it's not safe to be here. And that's not true. You know, we look at the data, we talk to the experts, we've based our decisions on those scientific facts that it's safe for our kids to be here. So if it's safe to come to school, it's certainly safe to participate in extracurricular activities afterwards. You know, the second piece is, again, home field advantage is a real thing in athletics, right? So why would we give that up? Our kids work just as hard as everybody else, and they should have the opportunity to do that as well.
I love it. I absolutely agree with everything that he said. You know, there's a lot of flack being kind of thrown around here. And to tell people it's safe is not the easiest thing to do, because there's still that little bit of doubt in the back of your mind that creeps in, and you go, well, what if this pops up, you know, 1, 5, 10 years, 20 years down the road? And the problem is you have to make decisions based on right now, right? And right now, all the evidence points to it's safe. And not only safe for your kids, it's safe for our kids as well. It's safe for our student athletes. It's safe for our students. It's safe for the faculty. It's safe for the administration. It's safe for the people of town. And one of the biggest things that I look to is an example. During a meeting last night, Chris was speaking on behalf of the school, as a superintendent does typically, and it was an informal meeting, but it was that after that meeting, the numbers rose to over 20 teams participating at these track meets. And that tells me that if you just inform, engage, and advocate, right, correctly, enough with the throwing, is slinging the mud around. But if you just bring facts to the table, people will listen, and they can develop their own facts and their own beliefs off of those. But if you're fighting fiction with fact will win at the end of the day. Now, it might take a little bit, because there's been a lot of stories, right? There's a lot of ghost stories floating around the town. But the reality is the media would not be here if it was not safe for them. Celebrities would not come here if it wasn't safe for them. Politicians certainly would not come here if it wasn't safe for them. So if all these people are coming to town, it's a great opportunity for your kids, out-of-towners, to come in and support East Palestine in that way. We understand that you're nervous. We understand that but we're just asking you to look at the facts. They would have us leaving town in abundance. We had to do it a couple times already in the early going. We're back, and there's people walking around town. Right here, this guy walking around town. There's people driving around town. There's a lot of people in this town right now. And quite honestly, and this is not a scientific fact, this is just my observation, probably one of the safer places to have water right now. We had not a water test. We were looking to have a water company come in and give us reverse osmosis or whatever, something we've been looking at for years, not days or weeks or months, years. And the guy basically said, this is incredible. Like, there's no chemicals, there's no chlorine, there's no anything. He's like, I've never seen anything like this. And, his hesitancy told me everything I needed to know. And it was, I feel good about this. People were worried about the water. And if a water specialist is coming and telling me that my water is good, the EPA is telling me my water is good, who am I to question that? Like, I'm not an expert in water. Like, I've drank, oh my gosh. I've drank muddy water before. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that I'm not an expert in. Water is one of them. But I'm so proud of East Palestine and Chris Neiffer and Dwayne Pavkovich and the entire administration for educating, and not by their words, by the experts, and having the experts. And how about these experts, these scientists, these doctors, these EPA specialists coming in and saying, listen, we believe in the town, and we believe straight up that you're going to be okay if you come here and you run track and field. And another story I'm going to get to before we get to the What's Your Spark is this. Last night, Jackson Milton's field was unplayable. So the conversation turns to, hey, East Palestine, can you play? Can we use your field and just flip the games? No, obviously they're not playing tonight, but that's a big step. That's a huge step, because I have to believe there's conversations going, hey, sorry, we're not going to play you. You can come to our place, but we're not going to play you. And you heard in Chris's soundbite, home advantage is a real thing. And he's not going to take that away from his kids, and I can't blame him. And I understand the other side of the fence. But the reality is we can only go by the data we're provided. Superintendents, you're only allowed to go by the data you're provided. Same as the situation that Chris Neiffer's in. Same as the situation that Dwayne Pavkovich is in. But last night was a huge, and I mean monumental step in the right direction. And kudos to Jackson Milton for taking that first step. You don't know the whole staircase, can't see it, but you took that first step, and it was the right one. And I, on behalf of all of us at East Palestine, I thank you, because that is a big step for our kids, for our community, and for all of us. So thank you, Abby. Appreciate it very, 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 very much. All right, it's time for the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our good friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, anything electrical that makes you go bzzzt, head over to DickeyElectric.com. Tell them YSN sent you. What's my spark? It's real easy. 3 words. This weather stinks. That's my spark. Brought to you by Joe Dickey Electric. Again, head over to DickeyElectric.com. Heading into the weekend, a lot of games for you. Let's take a quick look on Saturday. Well, a lot of them got eliminated, so let's take a look at what we have. Still on as of right now, Derek Rhodes is going to have the Crestview at Salem game for you. We will have the softball game from Glen Oak and Archbishop Hoban. Ty is going to take the trip out to Akron, to the AK Rowdy, and take care of that one. And we have YSU baseball tomorrow and Sunday right here on your sports network, trying to fill in those gaps. It still looks like, the weather is going to be the weather as of right now. Storm Tracker 21 not looking very promising for spring sports. Still a lot of games that could get covered tomorrow from a softball perspective. Baseball is pretty much toast across the board. We're looking at maybe Lake and Boardman tomorrow, depending on what their field looks like. Given the look outside, I'm guessing it's probably going to be a little ugly. So keep an eye on ysnlive.com/live for updates on games that are happening. And we apologize, obviously, for games that aren't. We can only cover the games that are going on. The cancellations that just give us a little room for rest. So We hope everybody has a great weekend. Again, keep your eyes on ysnlive.com all weekend for game updates. And we will see you next week, Monday, 3 to 4, right here on your sports network. Have a great weekend. Love you. Bye. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation.